So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our September Zoomcast series. My name is Robert Crowder. I'm going to be your presenter today. It's exciting to welcome you all. I think more and more people are coming in. We have, well, there were supposed to be more than 50 on the call, but I guess it's just 10 o'clock now, so people will be coming in. Joining us today from the Benefits Trust, we've got Lindsay Gibson. There's Lindsay. We've got Michael Ignatz in the house. Carrie Lane is with us, and my son Rob, who's moderating today, or running the things behind the things, shall we say. So anyways, we'd like to, on behalf of all of us at the Benefits Trust, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very much for coming and joining us today. Oh, sorry, there's Jordan. There's Jordan. I got to give a shout out to Jordan as well. Pardon me. Everybody's spread out all over the different
Come on,
screens here.
Rob. Come on.
So again, on behalf of all of us from the Benefits Trust, a good morning and welcome. And thank you all for joining us. Your time is valuable, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. If you don't have your camera on and you can turn it on, we'd greatly appreciate it because we want to see your smiling face, like we see Wendy's smiling face right now. Good morning, Wendy. So we appreciate it if you put your cameras on. You're going to get a CE credit for participating today. Mike Ignatz is going to be sending those out very shortly, but that's for the people that stay on the call to the end. You got to stay on the call to the end. As well as that, you're going to be signed up for our Trusted Advisor newsletter that comes out monthly. I think we're at 135 months in a row, which is great. And in addition to that, you're going to get a real short survey. So please fill that out, send us back on how we did today and how we can do it better tomorrow. When we started these Zoomcasts many years ago, it was really about sharing information. It's about sharing information. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being in a room where everybody gets smarter. And that's what it's all about today. So it's about sharing so we can all get smarter. And we encourage you to participate. Put up your hand, put up that little hand emoji. It'll pop up on my screen. I'll be able to see it and call on you. Interrupt me, chat in the chat box so everybody can see. And that way we can all learn because, not only do, we learn from each other, without a doubt, we learn from each other. So let me just share my screen here. So today we are going to talk about unlocking profit potential, strategies for clients with 5 to 20 employees. And we'll get into this in a little more detail, why I've chosen this particular subject, but it's an exciting time to sell benefits, without a doubt. I think clients today need us more than they did yesterday, and they're going to need us more than they did today, tomorrow. So I think it's a great time to sell benefits, and it was exciting at the beginning of this session. Just before we started, we were chatting and seeing Par Bajwa and Brian Shaw. This is like the old days at National Life 1,000 years ago, and it's a bit of a reunion here. So it's great to see so many new faces, but some old faces as well. So again, let's get started. Thank you very much. You guys know the rules. Keep your cameras on. Stay to the end. You're going to get a CE credit for participating and staying to the end. And if you got questions, what do? Put up your little hand emoji and or put it in the chat box, and Mike or Rob or Jordan or Lindsay or Carrie Lane will be happy to help you out and answer the question. So what we want to talk about today is a little bit of client needs analysis or prospect needs analysis. And when I'm using the word client, I'm saying prospect or client. So it's really client needs analysis, understanding risks and how to manage them. We want to talk about some case studies. And speaking of which, that survey that we send out at the end of each session, we got a lot of feedback that you folks that participated in these Zoomcasts really enjoy the case studies. So we put 4 case studies in today that we'll go into in a little bit more detail. We want to talk about accounting and reporting considerations, tax considerations, and then, of course, have any questions, answers, and discussions. So really, we're going to have some fun today, and we're going to talk about selling benefits. A little bit about us. We are the Benefits Trust. We started on January 1st, 1994, so we've been around for some time now. We are a full-service third-party benefit administration company. We work with advisors like you. We are the largest independently owned TPA in Canada. We provide custom employee benefit solutions to our end user clients, again, through advisors like yourself. We provide exceptional client experience. The Benefits Trust was built really from the client side up, not the insurance company side down, if you would, but we provide exceptional client experience. One of the things that we like to say is we do the 5% extraordinarily well. And what I mean by that is, we do things really well. We pay claims, we provide bills, we provide advice, all sorts of different things. But it's that 5% that I think we do different. And it's that 5% when there's a problem. I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with, the 407 or Air Canada, especially Air Canada right now with a looming strike. Sometimes they're incredibly difficult to deal with for that last 5% because you want to change something or make something happen, and it's difficult. But we answer the phone and we solve those problems. We've got long-term relationships with all of the major insurance carriers and service providers, so we're not stuck on one particular provider. We deal also with a lot of specialty carriers. And our target market, especially for today, is advisors with clients from 1 to 100 employees. We do deal in all size businesses. We have a number of accounts that are over 100 employees, a number of accounts that are over 500 employees, but our target market is really that 1 to 100 employees. And the reason for that is this is just an exciting marketplace. It's just a truly an exciting marketplace. There's 450,000 businesses in Ontario, and 440,000 of those businesses have less than 100 full-time employees. The majority of us that are on this call work in this space. So, it's through this lens that we're going to explore this, but there's really endless prospects when you think about it, just endless prospects. There's 440,000 businesses in Ontario with less than 100 employees. So, for the purposes of today, we're just going to focus on that 5 to 20 life marketplace because I think they think a little bit differently. And, when you think about it as well, those 440,000 businesses, the majority of which are, within an hour drive away from probably where the majority of you are sitting right now. I think benefits decisions differ. Benefits buying decisions differ. They differ by size of groups within this group. So we've got 1 to 5 lives, and I've broken it down. And this is not always the case, but I'm just breaking it down a bit. 1 to 5 lives, the company might be at their infancy and they're just starting out and they're making ends meet and they're doing what they're doing, and the business owner has a vision and they're making it happen. 5 to 20 lives, there's some management in place. They're a growing company. They're proven a bit. They're still developing and still growing and growing rapidly. 20 to 50 lives is a little bit different. 50 to 100 lives, a little bit more established. Certainly some management, some fairly significant management in place, and then 100 plus lives, possibly multi-locations and so on. So we're focusing today on this 5 to 20 life marketplace. Quite frankly, this is one of my favorite marketplaces as well because it's a growing company. This size company needs your help as an insurance professional. They need your help without a doubt. And they got their ears open. They haven't been around long enough to have a jaded opinion. They need your help, and they're at the growth stage. And this is what I've found to be sort of the most common characteristics of companies in this size. Yes, there are companies that are not in the growth stage that are at 5 to 20 employees, but without a doubt, the majority of them certainly are. The other thing is, as I mentioned, but I can't stress enough, the owners are very active in the decisions, and benefits are an important consideration. And generally speaking, owners are very active in that decision-making process with respect to benefits because it's such an important foundation of their company. So, the other considerations is benefit purchasing decisions are made differently in each group, but how do you provide this value-added service at a profit? And it's through this lens that we'll explore. But one of the things that I've noticed and having been around for as long as I have, and as I like to call it, it's experience, if you would, or expensive learning over the years. But one thing that I've learned is this creates the foundation. This creates the foundation for your relationship with your clients in the future. And I'm just thinking of one because I was thinking about them very recently, but we started with a bakery a number of years ago as a direct client of ours before we started selling through advisors. But this particular bakery, we helped them out. We helped them out of a problem that they were having. We solved their problem, and we were dealing with them, since almost the inception of our company. They started with 10 employees. We solved their problem with 10 employees. Now they have 180 employees. Companies grow over time, but if you are their valued provider, if you're their valued advisor, you can create this foundation that'll help them grow. I know there's one particular lady that I've been working with for many, many years, one advisor I've been working with for many years. just a wonderful lady. But she started with a company, and I think it started with 3 lives. I think this company started with 3 lives. She had this case for about 20 years. It grew to 1,800 people. She made a ton of money over the years, an absolute ton of money over the years. And finally, the company was sold and she was turfed out. But the company grew from 3 to 1,800 employees. And the reason why they kept her in place is because she helped them when they needed it the most. So think about that. You're helping someone when they need it the most. People don't forget that. Successful people certainly don't forget that. So we start off, where do we start? Well, it's a client needs analysis, and I think it's important, especially when businesses are at that growth stage. It's important to understand where they're going. And, you have to know where your client is going to determine the best way to help them, or if you even want to help them. I remember one story. I was working with this particular client, or sorry, I was interviewing with this particular client. And you got to remember that interviews are 2 ways. You're interviewing them and they're interviewing you. And I was asking future-based questions, and I was asking where they were going. And I asked them this question, if we were meeting here 3 years from now and you were looking back over those 3 years, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? And without even taking a breath, the business owner said, you know what? I want to be out of here. I want to take this company. I want it to go public, and I want it to go public within 18 months. And then I want to cash in my check and be out of here. And it was really interesting because I'm sitting there going, hey, great, we're going to do a lot of work over the next 18 months to get this plan up and running and communicate it and so on. And then he's going to be out of it. And chances are we're going to have to start a new relationship with someone that's a lot bigger, and we'll probably get turfed out as well. So we decided at that point, myself and the other advisor decided at that point it wasn't worth pursuing, because it's a two-way interview. You don't like where they're going, you don't have to go with them, right? So you got to ask your client where it is that they're going. That question, by the way, came from Mr. Dan Sullivan of the Strategic Coach, and it's a question that has changed my life, and I use it all the time in all sorts of different situations. But the client needs analysis. The answers to this question and other questions like it are going to give you a roadmap of where your client is going. It's going to be clear. It's going to be concise. It's going to be specific. They're going to tell you where they're going to grow, when they're going to grow. They're going to tell you how they're going to grow. They're going to tell you whether they're going to sell or merge, whether or not the individual is going to retire potentially or enter into new markets. Hey, we are going to take this product and we're going to take it into the US, or we're going to take it into Europe or worldwide. We're going to develop a new product line. They're going to give you this roadmap. And you think about it when you're going somewhere for the first time, or you're traveling on vacation or something, it's great to have a roadmap. And one of the things, these smart iPhones that we all have in our pockets, they're your GPS. You plug in an address and it tells you how to get there in the most efficient way. This same question, if we were meeting here 3 years from now, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life, is going to give you that GPS. It's going to give you that roadmap. It's going to tell you exactly where the client's going. And it's so, so important. Our role often is not looking for the lowest price. It's helping the client getting to where they're going to go. How do I get from here to the Eiffel Tower? I want to see the Eiffel Tower. I was watching the Olympics. How do I do that? Great. Well, you book a flight and you get a limo to the airport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's giving them some very specific advice, right? And if they don't engage with you, they go, oh, geez, I don't want to get into this. Just, here's my stuff. See if you can find a lower price. Is it really worth engaging, right? Let's talk about understanding risks and how to manage them. A benefit plan is nothing more than a promise between an employer and a group of employees. You've heard me talk about this in the past if you've been on these calls. It's something more than that promise between an employer and a group of employees. And what do you want to promise them? And I always like to say, and I harped on this in the last sessions that we did throughout the summer, but it's speaking English. And I'm saying speaking English in the sense that we're not speaking insurances, we're speaking English that someone can understand, because they don't know our business. Their business is polishing widgets, and our business is providing, advice with respect to employee benefit programs. So let's speak in English so they understand it. I like to say, regardless of what it is you're going to promise, often the promise consists of two different components: one of low frequency, high cost promises, and one of high frequency, low cost promises. And they kind of look at you, head slightly tilted, and they go, Tell me more. What do you mean by that? And you go, well, great. A low frequency, high cost promise really requires insurance. You think about it, if you are making a promise to one of your employees that if they should pass for whatever reason while they're employed by you, you're making their named beneficiary a promise that you're going to pay them $25,000, $50,000, 2 times their earnings, whatever it is. You're making that promise. The chance of that happening is very, very remote. However, the cost of keeping that promise when that event does happen is expensive because, again, it could be $50,000. So what happens is it's important to buy insurance to protect that promise so it can continue into perpetuity. So there's two components. Again, that low frequency, high cost promise, and that really requires insurance for things like group life, group AD&D, long-term disability, critical illness, out-of-country emergency travel coverage, in Canada stop loss, some short-term disability claims, depending on how it's structured, requires insurance. Right. But the chance of it happening the chance of this event happening is very remote. However, the promise is very big, and that requires insurance. One of the things that's interesting when you do explain it like this, you get a lot of head nodding. You get a lot of head nodding. People understand this. This is the purpose of insurance, to mitigate against high frequency, low cost events. Or sorry, high cost, low frequency events. The opposite is the understanding risk, as well as the high frequency, low cost promises really don't require insurance. They require budgeting. They require budgeting for things like extended routine, extended healthcare claims, prescription drugs, vision care, dental, healthcare spending accounts. That's really not insurance per se. That's just gas and oil for your car. It's gas and oil for your car. I'm sure most of you that are on the call today have a car. Well, you need to fill up your car every, 700 kilometers, or plug in your car every 300 kilometers. You've got to refuel it. That's something that happens automatically. It's not sudden, it's not unexpected, and it's not expensive in the grand scheme of things compared to the price of the car. You have insurance to protect against if, your car is stolen or involved in a wreck and it's totaled. Yeah, you need to have insurance for that. But to put gas and oil in it, that's not insurance. That's just effective budgeting. The same thing is true with an employee benefits program. You buy insurance for that life insurance component and that long-term disability insurance component. But really, high frequency, low cost promises require budgeting for those things like extended healthcare, prescription drugs, dental care and vision, healthcare spending accounts, etc. And what this does is the client, all of a sudden, when you explain these two things, as simple as this and as quickly as this, the client goes, yeah. And I'm not talking about insured versus ASO. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm just talking about them understanding the components of an employee benefit program. And this gets their head nodding, and they think about things a little bit different, right? This type of conversation frees up the client's prospect mind. And when they think about the promise that they are making to their employees, and they've got this sort of blank slate or this clear slate in their head, they're going, hey, I can promise anything I want. And what do I want to promise? And this is where you get into the opportunity of providing customized solutions, because they work. Great questions to ask. What are the groups within your group? Make it easy for them to design their own benefit plan. Keep them keep them on the playing surface, so to speak, with respect to the laws and so on. But let them design their own benefit plan. What's better, a plan that's designed by your client that you deliver to them, or one that you design and deliver to your client? Often it's a combination of both, but it's really having the client design their own benefit plan because it works specifically for them. As well as that, it helps you get to yes very quickly or no very quickly, right? When you're talking to a client, you're talking about the future, you're able to ask some great questions, some future-based questions, but it really gets the client to either, quite frankly, shit or get off the pot, right? As I like to say, you get to yes or no really quickly. And I was talking earlier about Brian Shaw and working with Brian so many thousands of years ago. Gosh, the amount of time that I've spent in the maybe zone, I could be retired by now. Like, it maybe kills you when a client says, hey, give me another option here, or let me do this there, or try this, how about that? And the maybe kills you. So you want to be able to shorten that sales cycle. And when you're dealing with the business owner in this 5 to 20 life marketplace, you can get to yes or no really quickly by having meaningful discussions like we're talking about now. The best part about this as well is the client sets their own budget. There's no guessing game. There's no game playing. The client sets their own budget with respect to this. And you say, hey, great, this is how much, this type of promise is going to cost. And they go, oh, it's too expensive. And they go, great, how do you want to change your promise? So it's a different conversation. It's your promise, i.e. the prospect or client's promise, but it's their promise. And what is it that they want to do and what they want to change to make it cheaper, if they want to make it cheaper. But there's no guessing, there's no game playing. The client is in charge. So let's jump into a couple of case studies here. This first case study, and this has happened over the last couple of years. All of these case studies have happened over the last couple of years. And the case study number one, the benefit plan must remain the same across the business, so to speak, across the board. It's got to be the same. The business is in its growth stage, just as we mentioned, 18 full-time employees. There are some long-serving part-time staff. This business has been around for a while, but the owner wants one plan design for full-time employees, and mental health is especially important to them. Mental health coverage is especially important to them. One question that's a terrific question is, what's the hurt? Why am I here? How can we help? Right? The current advisor said there are no part-time benefits available. That's what they said. Yeah, you've only got a couple of part-time staff and there's really no part-time benefits. Benefits are for full-time people, and that's all there is. One thing I've learned is never tell a business owner, never tell an entrepreneur they can't have something, because what they'll do is they'll just find a way to have it. Often it's out of spite. They'll just find a way to have it, find a way to do it. So the current advisor said, yeah, that's not possible. Have a good day. And sort of brushed them off. Well, it was interesting. A new advisor came in, had this discussion with the client, and through a number of future-based questions and working with the client, it was decided that the client's benefit plan wanted to be like the following. Number one, they wanted $25,000 a life and $25,000 worth of A&D. They wanted a straightforward long-term disability program. They wanted out of country emergency travel coverage, and they wanted in Canada stop loss set at $10,000. Pretty straightforward stuff. They wanted an 80% prescription drugs with an unlimited cap. They wanted 80% vision care to a max of $250 every 24 months, paramedicals with a $500 combined max, and they wanted their mental health coverage in its own silo with a $1,000 annual max with a broad definition of providers for that mental health. And they also wanted basic dental, and they put a healthcare spending account equal to 2% of annual earnings for each employee. Right. So this was something that was put in to fill in that sort of 80% gap. It should read 100% dental there as well. But anyways, it was to cover in that 20%, but they put in that healthcare spending, 20% for the drugs primarily. They wanted the healthcare spending account equal to 2% of their annual earnings. As well as that, it was decided that there was a number of part-time employees that were really important to the client. And we put in or it was decided that the client wanted to give them each a $500 healthcare spending account for part-time employees that have been there 5 years or more. So again, pretty straightforward plan. But the thing that was unique about this was again, the part-time employee component and the 5%, or sorry, the 2% of annual earnings to do a healthcare spending account. In this case, they had 18 different healthcare spending account amounts. Might be difficult for some, certainly not difficult for us at the Benefits Trust. Well, the result of this was there was a benefit plan that was formulated that was unique and meaningful benefit plan for the full-time employees. They loved the creative plan design, and it's going to assist in keeping within the company's budget while providing both part-time and full-time employee benefits. The mental health space was welcomed by the owner, putting it in its own silo, having it separate, being a really important benefit. That was important to the client and was well received by the employees as well. As well as that, after this was decided, the advisor discussed with the client about the 100% unlimited plan. So we set up a separate class, even though it had to be the same for everybody. It was the tax advantage that really pushed the client over the edge on this and got him to move forward. The tax advantages were discussed. So it's 100% for the owner's plan for health and dental. No deductibles, no co-insurances, no maximums, no limits. Quite simply, the example I use all the time is these glasses. I wear these glasses when I use my computer. When I use my computer, I've got these glasses on. I have a pair of these glasses in my office. I have a pair of these glasses in my home office, and I have a pair of these glasses in my briefcase. So I never need to look for them because it's the only time I use them is with my computer. Those glasses cost me, I think they were $600 a pair, so $1,800. I ran it through my benefit plan as a tax deductible business expense, and I received the benefit tax free. Terrific. So this was explained to the owner after the previous plan design was discussed, and then the owner said, yeah, let's implement that. Why wouldn't I do this? And it was amazing because the client was really happy with the results. The advisor, most importantly, in this case, has a new client, and their costs increase significantly. And the client is happy with the solution. So an increase in cost, not a decrease in cost, an increase in cost, but they've got the plan that works for them. And the advisor has a new client. Case study number 2, we're just rolling along here. Case study number 2, cost containment is key. In this particular case, cost containment is key. So when we were discussing this with the advisor, it's a family-owned business with 12 employees, 4 of which are long-standing. The owner wants to acknowledge. They were there from the very beginning, and they want to acknowledge these long-standing employees. That's something that was really important to them. And our client, the advisor asked, what's the hurt? And their current advisor said that the group is too small to have tiered benefits in a meaningful way. Because they only have 12 employees, including the owner. Well, you can't have tiered benefits. You can put one at 80% and the other at 100%, but it's really not that meaningful. And, it's too small to look at it. We got to wait till you get more employees and we can do it in a more meaningful way. What the client heard was, we're too small for you to put a lot of effort into this. That's what the client heard. So the client was shopping for a new advisor, right? It interviewed a number of them, and this particular advisor was in to see them and asked this question, what the hurt is, and came up with a great solution. Terrific. All employees, they got $75,000 of life insurance and $200,000 worth of accidental death and dismemberment insurance. It's really interesting. And we asked the particular advisor why he put this in. And the advisor told a story about how a family friend, their spouse died as a result of an accident. Or no, I can't remember. Somebody died as a result of an accident. And it really took the family for a loop because no one's expecting someone to die. But when you get a telephone call and they're dead, it was really tragic, and it took a lot for this person to recover from it, and the family to recover from it, if you ever can recover from something like that. But the $200,000 would have really made a difference. So the advisor was discussing with this with the client, and as we all know, the cost of accidental death and dismemberment insurance is tiny. So it was decided to put in $75,000 of life and $200,000 worth of AD&D insurance. The client felt good about delivering a check should something tragic happen, a meaningful check. In this case, $275,000. As well as that, there was $25,000 of critical illness put in place and out-of-country emergency travel coverage. For the owners group, it was that 100% health and dental coverage and stop loss and out-of-country. The full-time employees, they put in a prescription drug coverage of $1,000 with an annual max. And as well as that, they put in a healthcare spending account, 10 years or more, it was $5,000 worth of service. 3 to 10 years, it was $2,500, and less than 3 years of service, it was $12,500 or $1,250. So it was interesting because, in this particular plan design, it's very healthcare spending account forward, if you would, besides the pool benefits, because they wanted to empower the employees to make effective purchasing decisions, but the owner wanted to be able to really budget their benefit plan costs without any surprises. So the owner was to be able to do this without any surprises. The healthcare spending accounts are based on years of service, and that proactively rewards long service employees and is retention oriented. You think about it, all of a sudden you're getting, what was the number, $3,000 or $2,500, and you're one or half a year away from getting $5,000. All of a sudden you're sticking around because you want to get that benefit. So you're rewarding long service employees. Employees are able to allocate the funds that are important to them. A bit of a diverse group, even though there's only a few employees, but a bit of a diverse group, some older people and younger people. So it's important, to allocate funds according to what your needs are or the members' needs are, as opposed to just have one size fits all. The owner is very happy with the executive benefits, and quite frankly, the advisor has a new client. The advisor has a new client. So it was great. So when you think about it, when you think about these things, what was the hurt on this particular case? Again, the advisor said, you're too small to offer tiered benefits. You're too small, and kind of brushed them off. And that really upset the owner. And the owner said, there's got to be a better solution. And this advisor came in with a new solution. Nothing was discussed here about price. It was about budgeting, and it was about effective budgeting to eliminate surprises. And guess what? The advisor has a new client. Simple as that. Case study number 3, as I like to say. First of all, does anybody have any questions on those first two case studies? Any thoughts, any ideas? Anybody want to jump in? Anybody? Hello? I think there's some things going on in the chat box, but if anybody so hey, when we get the surveys back and you guys say it wasn't interactive enough, hey, come on, I'm asking, right? But does anybody have any thoughts or comments that they'd like to share?
I'm just wondering, what's the limitation in regards to the owners of benefits versus the employees?
Ira, thank you very much. That's a great question. And let me repeat it back. What's the limitation on owners versus employees? The answer is, this is all of these, or both of these cases, all of the cases that we're discussing today are incorporated businesses. They've got, multiple employees. The owners are setting themselves up in both of these particular cases with 100% executive benefits. It's a defined benefit that says, hey, you get all of your expenses paid for, and there aren't really any limits. Where you run into problems with owners and deemed a shareholder benefit is when the owner with 15 employees, for example, sets up a benefit plan for themselves, but doesn't include any of their employees. Another way to say it is the Royal Bank's president and CEO has a very different benefit plan than the newest customer service rep that they just hired in the Markham branch, right? So, or the St. John's, Newfoundland branch, or whatever it is. But it's as long as you set up a plan, it's documented, it's promised in advance, and it's funded. We've never seen any issues. So there's no limits to what the employee or the business owners can claim.
Does it matter the amount of employees? So if you have 5 employees, is it an issue to still set up a separate one for the owner?
No, it's not a separate plan. It's a great question. It's not a separate plan. It's just a different class, right? Where the problem, again, Ira, would arrive, and thanks for this terrific question, where the problem would arise, again, if you just set it up for the business owner and not include any of the employees. But you can have different benefits without a doubt. Right?
Thank you.
Great question. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. Don't forget, put up your hand and ask them in the chat box. Case study number 3, best of both worlds. This was an interesting one. It was a family-owned business with 15 employees in total. There were 3 separate companies, which is often the case. They might, the businesses, the serial entrepreneur might have 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 different companies. It doesn't matter. But they're 3 separate companies, each of which is its own profit center. They're not related businesses other than through ownership, but they do different things. But they've got 3 separate companies. And the owner really likes the idea of healthcare spending accounts, but wants to be able to share the cost with its employees. And the owner has great coverage through the spouse's plan. So benefits have never been really that important to him. It's kind of been yeah, we got to have them, I guess, kind of attitude. But he goes, I've got great coverage, so I don't really care. So, the advisor came in and was talking to this particular client and said, what's the hurt? Again, that great question, what's the hurt? Well, the owner was concerned because all of the employees were covered under one company. Even though they didn't work for that profit center, they were covered under that one company. And he thought that this might have been a problem or could be potentially a problem in the future. And it was interesting because the advisor picked up on this and was having a discussion with this particular client and said, yeah, you know what? This could be a problem at the time of claim, time of material claim. We're not talking about a routine dental claim or a routine health claim. But, at the time of a $50,000 life claim or an out of country, a few $100,000 out of country claim, yeah, this could be a problem because, as we all know, group insurance is underwritten at the time of claim. Again, group insurance is underwritten at the time of claim. So when you have a significant claim, whether it be for life insurance or AD&D or long-term disability or out of country emergency travel coverage, the underwriter or the insurance company in this particular case does the underwriting at the time of claim. They go, hey, we got this claim form. When was the last day someone worked as a result of a long-term disability claim? What was their last pay period, et cetera, and show them their last pay stub or whatever it was. And all of a sudden they've got ABC Inc. on it, but the policy that the insurance company has is XYZ Inc. It's a different name. And then you're trying to explain it. And trust me, the insurance company is looking for ways to pay this or not pay this. It's depending on what side of the lens you're looking at. But all of a sudden, it creates this controversy at a time when someone needs the benefit plan the most. And it creates this problem. So the owner's, fear was real, but it's just such a simple fix. And the advisor that was presently in there or in there that said, I'll just put them all under one, put them all under one. It's easy, put them all under one. Was sort of brushing off this concern, and this advisor picked up on it and really was the caveat for the discussion. So the benefit plan that was put in place was a $50,000 of the life and AD&D, $25,000 of critical illness, a long-term disability benefit, 90 days of out of country emergency travel coverage, employee assistance program, and health and dental coverage with a $4,000 combined max at 80% reimbursement. That was their benefit plan. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's what their benefit plan is. As well as that, the owner who had great benefits, who never really thought about benefits because he had such great benefits, because I think the owner's spouse was an executive at a bank or something and had these great benefits. But they realized that through questions, they realized that they were spending money out of their pocket for things that weren't covered under their great benefit plan. So what the advisor suggested for the owner is they set up a healthcare spending account for the owner in the amount that they're typically out of pocket, plus 20% for unforeseen expenses. One thing that is important to understand is the healthcare spending account is always the last payer. So they use the spouse's plan first, and then things that aren't covered under the spouse's plan for the family then would be covered under this healthcare spending account. So the owner was very happy with that. The owner was able to budget effectively without any surprises. Unlike using a healthcare spending account in this particular case for all of the employees, the owner was able to share the costs with the employees 50-50. Each business is listed on all the contracts of insurance. Each business is listed. It's a very simple fix, people. We all know this. I see some heads nodding up and down, but it's amazing on how much it's overlooked, right? Each business is listed on the contracts of insurance. Each business is rated separately, in this case for the extended healthcare and dental with separate billings. So there's 3 different payments that are made. But we are combining the pooled risk among the 3 companies due to the common ownership. So they're getting the advantages of everybody with respect to the insurance, the life and the AD&D and so on. The health and dental is separate, and it's dealt with from each profit center, so they can truly understand what the profit and loss is in each particular company. But more importantly than this, the advisor has a new client. Why? Because he listened to the client. He listened to the client. He came up with a solution that works for them. He understood what their hurt was. He understood where their game plan. He understood their game plan. He understood where they were going on vacation, so he could help them get there. Using that analogy. The advisor has a new client. It's as simple as that. It's by understanding what the client's needs are and coming up with that solution. He loved the idea of this healthcare, or the client loved the idea of the healthcare spending account for them to cover those expenses. He didn't realize that they could do it. He didn't want to disrupt the great benefits, but he just added a layer of icing to it that really made him happy. So what do you think is going to happen when this advisor, excuse me, when this client gets calls saying, hey, can I help look at your benefit plan and help you save some costs? We can do a market survey. They're going, no, we got a great plan in place. It works for us. It's dynamite. Yeah, not interested. Case study number 4. Oh, did I go too quick here? There we go. Oh, did I miss something here? Senator employee. Oh, case study number 4. Pardon me. I got ahead of myself. This is an interesting one. The broker sold the owner an individual life policy, which led to a discussion about benefits. So the advisor, is more on the life and health side, or the life and living benefit side, and sold this particular advisor a policy, an individual life policy to help them with their corporate planning or their individual planning. But this led into a discussion about benefits. And the company was really a startup company with the owner and 3 key employees plus 4 employees. So they had 8 employees in their organization, and they're looking to scale and hire and get new employees. And this is a typical example of a person left the company, started his own company, took 3 key employees from the old company, and then hired a couple of other employees. So the key employees left the old company with that owner. They followed this particular individual, and the pastures were greener on the other side of the fence, so they decided to give it a go. So in discussing, after selling them in the life insurance policy, what the hurt was with respect to their benefits is the owner needs a plan that would match and exceed what is being offered under the prior plan. And their current advisor that they were working with said, hey, really, all you can get is an off-the-shelf solution due to your size. Again, what do? You don't tell business owners that they can't have something, because what does it do? It just pisses them off. These guys were making a ton of dough. They were making an absolute ton of dough, and cost was certainly not the issue, and an off-the-shelf solution was not the issue. That's all you can get, but don't worry, I'm going to find you the lowest price. That was kind of the solution. Kind of a little crazy. So what happened is, in this particular case, the owners, or the owner, pardon me, that should be singular. The owner, we put in the 100% health and dental coverage for them, and they didn't need any life insurance. They didn't need or want any additional life insurance, because he just bought this huge policy. We said, we can get it, an extra, amount of insurance. He goes, no, I'm not interested in the life insurance. Great. Then the key employees, we put 2 times salary for life and AD&D policy in place, even though there was only a number of employees. The underwriter agreed to it because we sold them on the idea the company is growing and they would have no problem providing evidence of insurability. So there was a basic amount of insurance, and they had to provide a fairly decent amount of evidence of insurability. But again, it wasn't an issue. We were also able to secure $50,000 worth of critical illness. And then we put in the extended health care for those 3 employees that came over that showed the faith and came over. We gave them that extended health care plan with 100% coverage. All 3 of these individuals were young, they were healthy, they didn't have a lot of young kids, and they wanted to put this plan in place. This was used as the carrot, to keep them motivated. As well as that, we put in a dental plan with a $2,000 combined max for levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. Even though orthodontia was included, there wasn't going to be any claims for some time because kids were very young or not born at all. As well as that, of course, emergency out-of-country travel coverage. And then for the other full-time employees, they put in a pretty standard plan that matched the previous company's plan at 80%, and they put in a $500 healthcare spending account to be a little bit more flexible. As well as that, they made a promise to increase the healthcare spending account by $100 per year of service. So again, hey, you're too small, you can't have, fairly significant benefits, and one size does not fit all. But, hey, this is what was decided. Well, it was great. The result is the owner class was excluded from the life insurance benefit, and he was happy about this. He didn't want to pay for something he didn't want to have. He was happy about this. And it's kind of interesting because I was talking to the advisor about that because I was saying, hey, if someone can offer me another $50,000 of the life insurance so that any evidence of insurability, I'd take it. So why didn't this owner take this life insurance benefit? And the answer was he was adamant that he didn't want to have it for whatever reason, because he thought he'd bought enough insurance already because he sold that big policy to him. But what the advisor said to me is anybody else that comes along is going to say that he has to have it because it's going to be a requirement from the insurance company. And this way, it's not a requirement from the insurance company. And through the solution, it's going to secure my future. So that's what he did. Benefit plan for new hires is better than the former employer, pardon me, the competition in this case, because they were looking to steal some other employees over as their business grew. Key employees were rewarded with significant plan upgrades, that 100% unlimited plan. And the employees were happy with the added healthcare spending account. They were happy with this. It was terrific. And we don't have it included in this here, but there should be a line, and the advisor has a new client. Again, not significant cases, but important cases, because these cases are all poised for growth. And the advisor has created value. The advisor has created that solution or helped the client create the solution that works best for them. And in all four of these cases, these clients were not clients of the advisor until they met and asked feature-based questions and helped them design that customized solution to help meet their needs. We got about 10 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts? Because we're going to move on to reporting.
Can I ask a question? It's Wendy. Can I ask a question about the dental?
Yes.
How could they get level 4 or orthodontics with just 8 individuals on the plan?
Because it's a budgeted ASO plan through us, we can do anything we want.
Oh, so any amount of individuals can get a level 4?
See, a benefit plan is nothing more than a promise, right, Wendy? It's nothing more than a promise. And they are promising the orthodontia with a $2,000 combined max in this particular example. All right, it's a $2,000 combined max. Now, there was no opportunities for not short-term disability for the orthodontia, but they wanted to put it in there because they wanted to use it as a longevity. They wanted to say, hey, we want you to stick around because you've got this benefit. So should you need it in the future, you're going to be able to have it, where other companies won't have it. All right, or chances are they won't have it. So you can do anything you want, provide any promise you want. It's our job to keep that promise and give advice on how much they should fund that promise. And the promise is the funding is based on the claims. So that's a great question. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions or ideas? Great. Reporting and accounting considerations. This size business, needs your attention. Sorry. Pardon me. I'm ahead one. Reporting and accounting considerations. The monthly report eliminates surprises for you and your client. Okay, we send this report out every single month. I'm not asking you to look at it in detail. You can go to our website or we'll send it out to you, but it shows exactly how much money has come in for their benefit plan by line of benefit. It shows how much money has been paid out to the insurance companies. It shows how much money has been paid out in claims without saying who's claimed what. It shows what their plan operation expenses are and what their balance is in their account on a month to date or a month actual basis, on a year-to-date cumulative basis, and after 12 months on a previous year-to-date cumulative basis. So they know exactly where they are. It creates thin files and simple renewals. And let me tell you what that means. It's interesting because we send this out on a monthly basis with their next month's bill. So they see this, the clients see this, and they don't want to become benefits experts, but they just want to know where they are in relation to their budget. So the advisor and ourselves, we train them to look at the bottom line. We train them to look just at that, bottom line right there so they can see exactly where they are. And they look at that bottom line and they look at it every single month and they look at it for a nanosecond. And then if there's a problem with that bottom line or a trend happening, the advisor's on it, we're on it, and the client's on it. So there aren't any surprises and it creates those thin files. and one of the things that's really interesting about this is an advisor came to me and said, yeah, but Rob, I can get this from Canada Life. They have it all online, or Empire Life. They've got their claims experience online. And I go, yeah, they do. But the advisor doesn't have access to the clients, or often doesn't have access to the client's portal. And the client never remembers to go in and look at it. Right. And doesn't remember their password to go in and look at it. And says, oh, I got to look at that and I'll do it tomorrow because I'm busy today, and they forget about it. So all of a sudden, when the advisor comes back with a 30% increase because they've never looked at their financial status of their benefit plan, they're surprised at this. This comes to them every single month. They take a quick look at it and they know where they stand. They take a quick look at it because you're not sending it out, or you're not having the client do the work. You're just sending it to them. Ira, you had another question there?
Yes. All right. I think it's a good idea because you're staying in touch with them. You know, they're seeing
Yeah.
more than just you selling to them. Do not follow it up with a phone call. I know you said that you should have them look at the bottom line, but would you not follow up a phone call to have that personal touch?
Well, Ira, that's your job. That's your job as the advisor, and because we're sending out thousands of these things on a monthly basis, right?
I didn't mean you. I meant the agent.
Yeah, the advisor, that's your job. And it's interesting because some advisors, especially when the client's new, they go, hey, let's walk through the statement really quick, or they do it on a quarterly basis, or they do it on a semi-annual basis, or they write an email. They do a number of things, right? It depends on how often people want to be contacted, and how much value you want to create and add. But it depends on what your style is and so on. So a lot of clients certainly send a note on a monthly basis. Hey, I've looked at your statement. You've got a surplus in your account or a deficit in your account, nothing to be alarmed about. And some people call, some people do it on a quarterly basis or a semi-annual basis. It's entirely up to you. But it's interesting.
It's also great too because it breaks it down by claims. So you can keep an eye on prescription drugs, for instance. And if you see a really high cost medication hit the plan in 1 month, you can look back at the last year-to-date column to see if it's in trend. And if it's not within the trend, you can reach out and call one of us. We actually keep an eye on the drugs as well. And then we can see if it's going to be an issue or kind of a trend, and then really put out that fire before it snowballs into a much bigger thing at the time of renewal. So it's really powerful because in this market right now, there's so many more expensive prescription drugs out there. So we can start to have a conversation about it right away.
Or when it's going to hit the stop loss threshold and so on. What this
That-
does is
Sorry, Rob, that was my question. Do you have different thresholds for the pooling amounts depending on the size of the group? I know it's budgeted ASO, but still you got to have some sort of a parameters in there.
So the different thresholds we have is $7,500, 10,000 and up.
Okay.
Small group, 7,500, but most of them are $10,000 or up. Right. So, hey, this is great. You got this, to Rob's point and to Par's point, you've got this run on claims, but hold on a second, that's going to hit the threshold next month or 2 months from now.
And you can have a big plan design for a small company because this is what they're looking for, and you can put anything in your plan design because 5 Lifers is not going to go on a budgeted or a ASO with Canada Life or Sun Life, which is brilliant.
Absolutely. So, we got to talk about tax because in order to make this an eligible CE credit event, tax employee benefits are a tax deductible business expense. Any questions? Okay, great. So buying benefits 5 to 20 lives. The business of this size needs your attention more than ever, without a doubt. And this is the growth. This is the foundation of growth. That example of that lady that I've been working with for many years, she had that case, like it was just so great. She goes, it grew from 3 lives to 1,800 lives. And when the case, she had it for 20 plus years before the case sold out. And the business owner, the guy that owned this business was just, I'm never going to get rid of this advisor because she treated me so well and took care of business when I was young and struggling. And just had that allegiance and had that love for her, essentially. And she was telling me one time, she goes, I have no business having this business. I have no business having this client. But she did. And it was great. And she made a ton of money from it over the years. And she was sad to see it go, but it went. But she had a good run. And like I said, I've seen many companies grow from 5 to 500 plus employees. But when you provide value right on the ground floor, you've got a great foundation to work with that entrepreneur for many, many years to come. The other thing is never tell a business owner that they can't do something. Never tell them that, right? Show them how they can do it. Ask them the question, how do you want to get there, right? You know, using that Paris example, how do I get to the Eiffel Tower? Well, there's a number of ways that you can do it, right? You can take a flight, you can take a private jet, you can take a boat. They're going to choose one of the ways, right? But if you say you can't get there because, you know, the Cessna airplane doesn't have the capabilities to fly across the ocean, they're just going to be pissed off and find another travel agent, right? So it's never tell an entrepreneur or a business owner they can't have something because it really upsets them. Become their trusted advisor. That's the critical thing. Become their trusted advisor. So with 5 minutes left in summary, understand where the client is going. And you ask the question. And again, this came from the strategic coach. I've been a disciple of the strategic coach for more than 30 years now, more than 35 years, actually. But it's quite simple. If we were meeting here 3 years from today and you were looking back over those 3 years to today, what has to have happened for you to say it's been the best 3 years of your life? It's a great question. I ask that question all the time. I ask that of advisors when I'm working with them. I ask that of clients. I ask that of clients that I've had for 30 years. I ask that all the time because every time you meet with someone, their answer may change because the cycle in which their business is in might be different. You know, they might be different. What do they want to promise? Promise is such a powerful word, right? It means something to everybody that's on this call. If I make you a promise, Wendy Martin, I'm going to keep that promise, Wendy. I've committed to you. You know, it's a verbal contract. It's such a powerful phenomenon that you got to keep that promise and you got to communicate that promise. So what is it the client wants to communicate? My attitude is it's important to speak English so the client understands it because especially smaller clients, they're focused on their widget polishing business. They're not focused on their benefits business and they spend maybe a half an hour a year at this stuff. So you've got a very specific amount of time. So it's what is it that you want to promise? There's high frequency, low cost events, and that requires budgeting. And there's high cost, low frequency event, and that requires insurance. Insurance is there to protect the promise into perpetuity for those sudden, unexpected, high-cost events. That's why we buy insurance. The rest is budgeting. It's as simple as that, right? Ask what the hurt is. I think it's the most important question to ask. What's the hurt? Why am I here? How can I help you today? What's the problem that you're having, right? That monthly report, we've done that for 30 plus years. It eliminates surprises. We've got clients that we've been working with for more than since the Benefits Trust started. And we have meetings with them and they get these things every year and they look at it as a guessing game. They go, hey, we think our budget is going to increase by this amount because this is what our account status is. The other thing is the 100% plans work. They work better than cost plus. Touch the claim once. Touch it once. Cost plus might achieve the same result. It doesn't work as well. Touch it once. For executives and owners, right? It's difficult to duplicate. You touch the plan once, it makes nothing but sense. Thank you. We've got some other upcoming Zoomcasts in October. We're going to repeat this. So if you know someone that thinks that would benefit from this, please have them come on. I think we're on the 24th and 26th of September for the next 2 Zoomcasts doing this exact same session. As well as that, we've got a series coming up October 9th, 22nd, and 24th. And we are reducing catastrophic drug claims with effective risk management strategies. We've got Dave Wochuk joining us from Claim Secure. And that's going to be super exciting because we have just written a couple of very large cases with some great advisors because we implemented a unique drug formulary that Claim Secure has to offer, and the client just ate it up and made the decision real quick. So it's exciting. Those are going to be exciting sessions. We've got Dave Wochuk joining us with just an absolute ton of experience. So I look forward to, I think we did a session very similar to this about 2 years ago, but we've got some powerful results as a result of implementing some of these strategies. So make sure you register for those events as well. Great event in November that we've got going on. I think it's November 20th. I'm not sure, but check our website. Check out thebenefitstrust.com. We're going to stick around for a few minutes as well. We're going to stop sharing right now. Let's stick around for a few minutes if you want to continue this conversation, but it's 11 o'clock. So I want to thank everybody for participating today. We wish you good selling. We're going to enjoy the nice weather for the next couple of days, and a shout out to everybody. You're going to get a CE credit for participating today. You're going to get signed up for our newsletter. We're going to give you a short survey. Please let us know how we did today and how we can do it better tomorrow. And in addition to that, a shout out to my son, Rob, who's getting married on Saturday. So let's keep our fingers crossed for
Congratulations.
For great weather and lots of fun.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much. If you want to, Rob, we can stop